picture this. It's Thanksgiving 1990.
Okay.
The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is on TV.
Yeah.
Aroma of turkey and pumpkin pie fills the air, and families gather to celebrate. But for Brenda Gatis,
Right.
a 33-year-old mother of three from Dayton, Ohio,
Okay.
this Thanksgiving would be her last.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The contrast between the warmth and joy of the holiday and the stark reality of Brenda's disappearance.
It really is. And we're diving into Brenda's case today.
Okay.
A story filled with twists and turns
Yeah.
and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
It is.
We've got police reports, court documents, and even firsthand accounts from those involved.
Wow. What's particularly fascinating about this case is the way it spans decades.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at investigative techniques from the early 90s all the way up to modern forensic genealogy.
Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
It wasn't until weeks after Thanksgiving on December 12th that two salvagers made a grim discovery.
Oh, wow.
They were combing a rural stretch of Guthrie Road,
Okay.
a place people often dumped old appliances and scrap metal,
Right.
hoping to find a few aluminum cans to cash in.
That's almost poetic in a way.
Yeah.
The mundane act of scavenging juxtaposed against the tragedy of finding a body.
Right.
And the location itself,
Yeah.
a secluded area shrouded in underbrush, paints a picture of someone desperate to hide their actions.
And as if ripped from a crime novel, the unseasonably warm December weather played a crucial role.
Oh, really?
Had it been a typical Ohio winter,
Right.
Brenda's body might have remained hidden under a blanket of snow, potentially delaying her discovery for months.
Absolutely. The elements can be fickle partners in investigations.
Yeah.
In this case, the warmth expedited decomposition, which could have destroyed vital evidence, but it also led to the discovery of her body much sooner.
Investigators arrived to a scene that offered more questions than answers.
Okay.
Brenda's body was found nude, yet her jewelry.
Oh, wow.
A gold necklace and a diamond ring.
It remained untouched.
It's an intriguing detail.
Yeah.
It suggests that robbery wasn't the motive.
Yeah.
We have to consider,
Right.
if the intention was simply to dispose of the body, why leave behind potentially valuable items? It almost hints at a more personal, perhaps even impulsive crime.
Right. There were also tire tracks found nearby,
Okay.
but too generic to be helpful. So we have a body,
Right.
a secluded location, unusual details, and a sense that something doesn't quite add up.
And that's where the investigators had to start piecing together the puzzle of Brenda's life.
Right.
Who was she and what circumstances led to her tragic end?
Brenda's life was, by all accounts, a complex one.
Okay.
She struggled with substance use and was experiencing homelessness in the months leading up to her disappearance,
Right.
often relying on the kindness of friends and family for a place to stay.
Sadly, these circumstances often lead to a sense of vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's a tragic reminder that those on the fringes of society can become targets.
And their cases sometimes don't receive the attention they deserve.
But Brenda was more than just her struggles. She was a loving mother who, despite her challenges, made every effort to visit her three young children who lived with her mother, Ida.
It adds another layer of tragedy to an already heartbreaking story.
It really does.
Brenda's children were robbed of their mother, and her family was left with an unimaginable void.
Her fiancé, Donald, reported her missing soon after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
But as we often see in cases involving individuals struggling with addiction or homelessness,
Right.
the police initially treated it as low priority.
Oh, wow.
They filed a complaint memo,
Huh.
but not a formal missing person report.
It's a frustrating reality, but it reflects a systemic bias that was unfortunately more common back then.
Yeah.
Thankfully, law enforcement approaches have evolved since then,
Right.
recognizing the importance of investigating every missing person case thoroughly, regardless of their background.
And despite the lack of a formal investigation initially,
Right.
Brenda's loved ones never gave up.
No.
They conducted their own searches,
Wow.
desperate for any sign of her.
Yeah.
But those efforts ultimately proved fruitless.
Imagine that feeling of helplessness, of clinging to hope while facing dead end after dead end.
Yeah.
It's a testament to their love for Brenda that they never gave up hope.
As the investigation gained traction,
Okay.
the police explored several angles.
Uh-huh.
They looked into Brenda's potential involvement in sex work,
Right.
rumors of theft, and conducted countless interviews with friends and family.
It's like trying to assemble a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces.
Right.
They had fragments of information, whispers, and rumors.
Yeah.
But nothing concrete enough to form a clear picture.
But then a chilling pattern emerged.
Okay.
They started noticing similarities between Brenda's murder and several other unsolved cases in the Dayton area.
Oh, wow.
These cases, spanning from 1985 to 1992, primarily involved black women.
Okay.
Many suspected of being sex workers
Right.
who were found nude or partially clothed,
Yeah.
having suffered blunt force trauma.
This is where the possibility of a serial killer, or perhaps multiple killers operating with a similar MO,
Right.
entered the equation. The chilling thought of a predator targeting vulnerable women sent a ripple of fear through the community.
It's a truly terrifying thought. But even with this potential connection to other cases,
Yeah.
the investigation still lacked a crucial element: a suspect.
Right.
They were dealing with a phantom, someone lurking in the shadows, leaving a trail of tragedy in their wake.
And that's where we leave off for now. The investigation had hit a wall,
Right.
but a glimmer of hope was on the horizon.
Okay.
A breakthrough in forensic technology that would forever change the landscape of Brenda's case.
We left off with that chilling possibility of a serial killer operating in Dayton, Ohio,
Right.
during the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
But without a suspect, Brenda's case, along with those other unsolved murders, remained shrouded in mystery.
It's a frustrating situation, not only for investigators, but for the families left searching for answers. Imagine the weight of that uncertainty, knowing that the person responsible for taking your loved one is still out there,
Right.
potentially harming others.
And for years, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Brenda's case went cold.
Right.
Leads dried up, witnesses faded into the background, and the trail grew colder with each passing season.
But then in 2006, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon.
Okay.
Technological advancements in DNA testing offered a new tool in the fight for justice.
Yeah.
They were finally able to analyze the DNA found under Brenda's fingernails.
It must have been a moment of mixed emotions,
Right.
excitement at the prospect of new evidence, coupled with the anxiety of what those results might reveal.
And what they revealed was a partial DNA profile of an unknown male.
Oh.
It wasn't a complete match to anyone in the existing databases, but it was a significant breakthrough.
Yeah?
They finally had a tangible piece of evidence, a potential link to the killer.
So they had the DNA, but no name to go with it.
Right.
It's like having a single puzzle piece without knowing what the final picture looks like.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where the investigation took an unexpected turn.
Yeah.
Remember the potential serial killer connection we discussed earlier? Well, in 2006, the same year, they got the DNA results. A man we're calling Noah came forward with a disturbing story.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me more about Noah and his story.
Noah claimed that his stepfather, Ryan, used to bring sex workers to their home, specifically to the basement.
Okay.
He described a scene that, if true, is incredibly unsettling.
And what exactly did he claim happened?
He alleged that on Thanksgiving of 1990,
Yeah.
he heard a woman screaming in the basement. The following day, he saw a hand protruding from under a rolled-up quilt in the back of his stepfather's car.
A hand. It sounds like something straight out of a horror movie.
I know.
Did he specify whose hand it was?
No. And that's where the inconsistencies start to emerge.
Okay.
For one, there wouldn't have been school the day after Thanksgiving, so his
Yeah.
timeline was a bit off.
So we have a potentially traumatic memory, but one that's a little fuzzy on the details.
Yeah.
Did anyone else corroborate his story?
When police questioned Noah's siblings, they painted a very different picture of their stepfather.
Okay.
They described him as a church-going man with a good reputation. They claimed they had no recollection of anything unusual happening around Thanksgiving 1990.
So we have conflicting accounts, a potential witness with a shaky story,
Right.
and a stepfather who, according to his other children, was a pillar of the community.
Right.
Where did the investigators go from there?
Adding to the complexity, investigators uncovered court records indicating Noah had a history of mental health issues.
Which, of course, casts doubt on the reliability of his testimony.
Yeah.
But does it automatically invalidate it? I mean, mental health challenges don't necessarily equate to dishonesty.
You're absolutely right. It's a delicate balance. Investigators had to weigh the possibility that Noah, despite his challenges, might possess crucial information against the risk of building a case on an unreliable narrative. So they couldn't just dismiss him outright, but they also couldn't take his story at face value.
Right.
What did they do?
They proceeded cautiously.
Okay.
They documented his statement.
Yeah.
But they didn't pursue it aggressively at the time. Remember, they still had the unidentified male DNA from Brenda's fingernails.
Right.
That was their primary focus.
So the case went cold again. This time for an even longer period, a decade and a half until 2022,
Right.
when Noah reached out again, inquiring about the status of his tip. It's almost as if he felt this sense of responsibility, this need to ensure that his information, whether accurate or not, was taken seriously.
By this time, Detective Burke, who had initially worked on Brenda's case, had retired,
Okay.
but returned to the Dayton Police Department on a part-time basis to assist with cold cases.
Talk about fate. It's as if he was meant to see this case through to the end.
He met with Noah again to listen to his story and assessed his credibility. This time, Burke didn't notice any overt signs of mental instability in Noah.
Which must have been a difficult judgment call. After all, mental health isn't always visible.
Right.
And past diagnoses don't necessarily reflect an individual's current state.
And remember, they couldn't access Noah's specific mental health records due to privacy laws.
Right.
So they were operating with limited information, relying primarily on their observations and gut instinct.
Yeah.
And their gut instinct told them to pursue Noah's lead. They decided to revisit the home where Noah claimed the murder took place, hoping to find something, anything that could corroborate his story.
It's a testament to their dedication even after all those years.
Yeah.
They weren't willing to let a potential lead go unexplored, no matter how slim the chances.
They interviewed the current residents who had no connection to the previous owner, Ryan, and obtained permission to search the basement.
Imagine the anticipation. After decades of dead ends, they were finally taking concrete steps to potentially connect a suspect to the crime scene.
And they brought a secret weapon with them.
Yeah.
Blue Star.
Ugh, Blue Star. It's a chemical agent that reacts with bodily fluids, including blood, causing them to fluoresce under a blacklight.
It sounds like something out of a CSI episode. Did they find anything?
They did. Several areas in the basement glowed under the Blue Star, indicating the potential presence of bloodstains.
It must have been a heart-stopping moment. After years of searching, they finally had a physical trace that could potentially link the crime scene to a suspect.
But remember, this was 30 years after the alleged crime.
Right.
The likelihood of finding viable DNA evidence after such a long period is slim.
So they collected samples and sent them off for testing, hoping for a match to Brenda's DNA.
Right.
But they weren't putting all their eggs in one basket.
Okay.
While they waited for the results, they decided to revisit Noah's sisters, hoping that with time and distance, they might be more willing to share information they had previously withheld.
Perhaps with the passage of time, their perspectives had changed, or maybe they had recalled something they had previously blocked out.
But their stance remained unchanged. They continued to defend their stepfather, emphasizing his good character and their lack of recollection of any unusual events around Thanksgiving 1990.
It deepens the mystery. Are they genuinely unaware of their stepfather's alleged actions?
Right.
Or are they protecting him consciously or unconsciously? We may never know for sure.
This discrepancy adds another layer of complexity to an already perplexing case.
It does.
We have a potential witness with a shaky past,
Yeah.
a stepfather shrouded in conflicting accounts, and potential blood evidence found in the basement of his former home.
And just when you think the story couldn't get any more tangled, a new wrinkle emerges. During their second interview with Noah, he revealed a detail he had previously omitted. He claimed that the murder actually took place in a small room in the basement, a room that hadn't been searched during the initial Blue Star testing.
Which meant they had to go back, disrupt the lives of the current homeowners again, and hope that this new information was accurate. And they did. They went back, ripped up the flooring in that room, and repeated the Blue Star process.
Yeah.
But this time, nothing glowed.
Another dead end. It's enough to make you wonder if they were chasing a phantom,
Right.
a story conjured by a troubled mind.
But remember, they were still waiting for the results from the first round of DNA testing.
And those results held the potential to either corroborate Noah's story or expose it as a fabrication.
So we're left with this incredibly tense situation.
Yeah.
Potential blood evidence in a basement.
Right.
A tipster with a shaky story, and a stepfather shrouded in mystery.
It is.
Did those DNA results ever come back?
They did, but unfortunately the news wasn't what investigators were hoping for.
Oh, no.
The blood stains in the basement weren't a match to Brenda.
Wow.
It seems the blood was from another source unrelated to the case.
Oh, that's heartbreaking after all that, another dead end.
I know.
What about Ryan, the stepfather? Did the police just let him walk away after he refused the DNA test?
It's not that simple. Remember, they needed probable cause to obtain a warrant for his DNA.
Right.
Without a direct link between Brenda and Ryan.
Yeah.
They couldn't force him to provide a sample.
So where does that leave the investigation? It sounds like they're back to square one.
Not exactly. While the basement DNA was a setback,
Okay.
investigators are still actively pursuing other avenues.
Okay.
You mentioned forensic genealogy earlier.
Right.
That's become a major focus in Brenda's case.
Right. Using DNA to trace family trees.
Yeah.
But how does that work in practice?
Think of it like a giant puzzle.
Okay.
Investigators take the unknown male DNA found under Brenda's fingernails and compare it to DNA profiles in public databases,
Yeah.
looking for any distant relatives.
So even a distant cousin could provide a lead.
Exactly. It's painstaking work requiring meticulous analysis and cross-referencing of genealogical records.
Wow.
But it's been incredibly effective in solving cold cases.
Yeah.
If they find a match, even a distant one,
Right.
they can start building a family tree, working their way back generations until they narrow down the potential suspects.
So there's still hope for Brenda's case.
Absolutely. Forensic genealogy has revolutionized cold case investigations, providing new leads in cases that were once considered unsolvable.
That's reassuring to hear. It's been over 3 decades, but the pursuit of justice for Brenda continues.
It does.
And that brings us back to you, our listeners. Think about the power of information, even a seemingly insignificant detail. If anything about this case has jogged your memory, even something that seems trivial, don't hesitate to contact the Dayton Police Department.
You never know, your piece of information could be the missing link, the key to unlocking this mystery and bringing closure to Brenda's family.
Brenda's story is a powerful reminder that unsolved cases are never truly closed. They stay with us, demanding answers, urging us to keep searching for the truth. And sometimes all it takes is one person, one piece of information to change everything.
We've journeyed through the twists and turns of Brenda Gatis' case, exploring the complexities of the investigation, the evolution of forensic science, and the enduring power of hope. Brenda's story is a poignant reminder that every life has value, every victim deserves justice, and even in the coldest of cases, the pursuit of truth must never cease.